to, manage to come to Kota again and again for classes. But whenever possible, I will come and meet you all, and maybe taking a session there, or maybe the evaluation, because this course also has a section, a CWS part, that is the classwork sessional part, where internal evaluation is done of students, so their performance. So I can plan such kinds of assessments when I come there in person, so that we don't have to do it online. Any kind of assessment, we do it there in person at your institute only. But that, of course, I will announce beforehand, so that you can prepare and we can then meet. Okay, so this is called professional development, and it focuses on professional skills, lots of aspects of how to develop the personality. So tell me, how do you think professional development can be achieved? One become a better professional. Whatever understanding you have, please just you can put on your mic and speak. Okay. Yes.
Knowledge is ethics.
I'm sorry. Please speak up.
Ma'am, according to me, the most important thing is having the knowledge of ethics.
Ethics, okay. To be a good professional, you should be aware of ethics and morality, how it is important in the professional world. Okay.
I'm interacting and communicating with the people who are already there in the industry and practicing their jobs.
Okay, interacting and communicating with people in the industry. Okay, so you learn from them, from their experiences, and you try to understand how they have been able to achieve a particular position. Okay. What else do you think is important for professional development?
Ma'am, and keep up to date with the latest technologies or whatever is going around us.
Yes, to be up to date with the latest technology. Okay. What else? Please note down, because all these things will be useful for you. What else is important to be a good professional?
I'm building self-esteem.
One by one, maybe. Purva?
Ma'am, adaptability in different environments.
Adaptability. Okay.
I'm building self-esteem.
Building self-esteem. Yes, very important. Okay. So, these skills that you're talking about, they are useful not only in the professional field, but even as individuals, they're important to us. They help us to grow, help us to be better people, and, people who are in a way control of their own lives and, control of their, the areas of interest. Okay, what else? Any other skill? A very important skill is communication skills.
Communication skills and body language.
Body language, yes, because you have to interact with people when you are a professional, and you should be able to communicate effectively. And of course, we all communicate since the beginning. When we are children, we communicate with everybody all around us. But here, because, in the professional world, you have to be efficient, and you have to, complete your tasks on time, and also, make sure that no deadlines are, in a way, what to say, that means they are not ignored. So you have to be very careful in your communication, so that there is no miscommunication, and because miscommunication may lead to a lot of problems with other professionals also, people who are there working with you, your peers. So you have to pay a lot of attention to communicating well, both in writing and in speech. And especially when we are doing some kind of official work, then making sure that the communication takes place properly, so that time is not wasted and nothing goes wrong. Okay, and the work is done on time. So that is why it's a very important skill for professionals. Anything you want to add about professional development? How to develop oneself as a good professional, effective professional? Any other thoughts? Have you studied any courses of language earlier in first year, second year?
Yes, ma'am.
Which ones?
Communication skills, presentation skills, ethics.
All that you have already studied. Okay, fine. So I will be sharing, just presenting a presentation, PPT. I will be talking about the points, and afterwards I will be also sharing the presentation on Classroom, so that material is there with you for reference and reading. Okay. So this presentation is about professional communication, and talks about the important aspects of professional communication. It talks about so many things, not a very detailed presentation, but just to for the beginning, for the first class, I think it's good to talk about the basic aspects that you have to keep in mind in the professional world. Okay, so I will just share the presentation. 2 seconds. I think you're able to see. Can you see the presentation?
Yes,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Also, tell me when I change the slide, are you able to see the change? Just can you see the next slide? Or is it the first slide only, the cover slide? Is the second slide?
No, ma'am, only the cover slide.
Okay, so maybe just a moment. I will share
Now
that. Is it? No, that is because it's in the smaller view. 2 minutes. I'll share the entire screen. Entire screen. So then the presentation will be visible even as a slideshow. Okay. Can you see? Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, talking about professional communication, we will discuss the basics of professional communication. How is writing for professional purposes different? Characteristics of effective professional writing. 5 essential elements. Focus and purpose, audience analysis, organization of ideas, document design, and development. Okay, so basically I will be talking about these basics of professional communication. So professional communication refers to the various forms of workplace writing and responding carried out both in and beyond the workplace, whether in person or electronically. So whatever communication you are doing regarding the work that you are assigned, it's associated with your workplace, and whatever kind of writing or any other even spoken communication that you do, which is related to your profession. Okay. It is action-oriented, precise, and user-centered, because at home we might be very casual. We're just talking about general things. With friends, we might be casual. So that communication is just, we might be talking about food, you might be talking about the weather, you might be talking about planning something, but it's general kind of communication where there are no targets to be achieved. There's no particular task that is the focus. But professional communication is action-oriented. It is oriented towards the action that is required. It's precise and user-centered. What do you mean by precise? Being precise in communication?
There should be clear goals defined on what we have to achieve.
Convey the message in a clear and concise way.
Okay, yeah, present your ideas in a clear and concise way, both in writing and in speech. And what is user-centered? It's focused on the kind of, the people who are directly associated with the work. So if I'm talking to a subordinate, or if I'm talking to a colleague, whatever work is being done, it is centered on the user only. It's not, general. It's not, centered on me, but on the, facilitating the work from the point of view of the other person. So when I write an email, it has to be effective in the sense that, it is concerned about the person who's reading the mail, not about me. So it should not be centered on my ease or my understanding, but it should be focused on the other person's requirements, so that the conditions, the requirements are met. Okay, so it is action-oriented, precise, and user-centered. It aims to effect positive change through both persuasive and informative strategies. So you have to bring about some change. So when I suppose I circulate a notice about a meeting, so the purpose is to, call everybody to make sure that people, the colleagues, they join the meeting. So some kind of effective positive work is the purpose. And we use both persuasive and informative strategies for that work to be done. Okay, so I have to be courteous when I write the mail. I have to convince them that the work is important, that the meeting is important, the agenda is important. I inform them about the agenda through the mail. I tell them the time of the meeting. I tell them the venue of the meeting. So there is a purpose for that meeting. There is an agenda, and I have circulated the mail to ensure that the maximum number of participants are there in the meeting. The people are there to attend the meeting. So it has some kind of purpose. It's not general that we just chat about, films and we chat about what we do in the evenings. Okay, but it is work oriented, and that is why it has to be precise. It has to be very clear. It has to be action oriented. If you have any questions, you can speak up in between. Anything that if you have some comments or questions, you can speak up. Okay. It provides organized information that aids in quick decision making. So as professionals, it's our responsibility to share information in an organized manner. If I write a haphazard kind of email, or if an email which contains several points, but they're all put down as one long block of writing, it's not a well organized email, because it will be difficult for the reader to understand all the points that I'm making. Suppose I have 3 things to say, and I put them in one block of writing. I don't separate them into a bulleted list, or I don't have separate paragraphs for the 3 points. Then it becomes difficult for the reader, to understand what I'm saying, because they have to struggle to understand. They have to read it carefully. They have to reread it, that they don't miss out anything. And there are many chances that, some important information will be lost in this kind of email, because the reader will not be able to understand. Because as professionals, it's our responsibility to present our information, the information that we are sharing, in a very organized manner, so that it's easy for the reader to understand it. Okay, so that is how it is user-centered. Okay, or if I miss writing the subject of the email. Now there is an email where there is no subject. Okay, at that moment people might read the email, but later on, suppose they want to check the agenda again, and the email does not have a title, then they will be struggling in their inbox to see where is that mail, and because they don't have a subject. Otherwise, we are able to search for emails with the help of the subject. We use the keyword, and those emails, they pop up in front of us, and we can find the one that we are looking for. But if we are careless on our part, then some kind of miscommunication takes place, and it makes it difficult for the user, to understand what we are conveying. Okay, so you have to provide organized information that aids in quick decision making. So if the communication is proper, the other person will be able to decide something quickly. Okay, if he has to do something, or he's been called for something, or whatever. But if the email is not properly drafted, or if some information is missing, then they might have to call me again, ask me, what about this, ma'am? What about that? So in a way, we are wasting time. We are not helping, to facilitate the work being done quickly. Okay, so you have to provide organized information so that the user is able to decide quickly, I take up the action, do the work that is required. I hope you are able to understand. Okay, can I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how is, professional writing different from creative writing or the other kind of writing that we do, okay, which is general, not for a specific professional purpose? So you can see that you are using mostly technical vocabulary. If the content is factual and straightforward, the audience is specific. It is meant for a specific reader. It's not for the general reader that I write something in the newspaper and, some kind of column in a magazine and people read it, but it is meant for a specific audience. The purpose is to inform or instruct. The style is formal and standard. Okay, so you have to write in a specific manner, a formal manner. You have to speak in a formal manner. The tone is objective. You can't be very personal in professional communication. Okay, you have to distance yourself from the kind of communication that you're doing. Vocabulary is specialized because you might be referring to technical terms. You might be referring to, keywords which you use in your place of work. And the organization of ideas is sequential and systematic. It has to be put in a proper sequence. It has to be very systematic. But the other kind of writing that we do, which might be creative writing or general writing, would be imaginative, it would be symbolic. The audience would be general. The purpose would be to entertain, to provoke, people to think, to inspire people. The style may be informal, the style may be artistic. The tone may be subjective, so it might be very personal kind of writing. Vocabulary would be general and evocative, in the sense, for example, we have poetry, where there are words which evoke images in our mind. Okay, so the poem becomes a piece of kind of, you can imagine, what the writer is trying to convey. And the organization of ideas is arbitrary and artistic. So again, the difference from the general writing and the specific professional kind of writing. So how is it different? How is writing for professional purposes different? So as I told you, the information is organized, presented, and communicated in a specific format. So there are formats. So suppose I have to write a memo. I have to follow the format of the memo. If I have to write a report, I have to follow the format of the report. So the information has to be organized, presented, and communicated in that particular format. Okay, I cannot write a memo in the form of a report. I can't write an email in the form of a sales letter. Okay, so again, you have to be aware of the different formats of the different kinds of writing at the professional place of work and follow those formats. The writing is concise, clear, and accurate. So you are very precise in your words. You have to be clear in what you're saying, and you have to be accurate. You shouldn't be, making errors, any kind of factual errors. The writing takes into account the audience's needs, biases, and prior understanding. Okay, so again, I have to ensure that my message is communicated effectively. So I should know what does the audience want from me, what does the reader want from me. Okay, what kind of biases they may have, what kind of prior understanding they have. Okay, so that I'm able to reach to them, I'm able to reach their understanding. Okay, so if I send an email which is full of technical jargon to somebody who doesn't understand it, then I'm not taking into consideration his or her prior understanding. Yeah, so I might have to, gloss those words, might have to indicate what they mean through the email itself to make sure that the message is conveyed properly. Okay. It presents information to help readers gain a better understanding of a situation or solve a problem. So we have to present information in such a way so that they understand a situation well, or if there is a problem to be solved, they're able to solve the problem. Okay, so facilitate the reader. It conveys complex or specialized information in a way that is easy for the reader to understand. So you might be talking about complex things, or you might be talking about specialized information, but you have to make it understood to the reader, convey it in such a manner so that he or she is able to understand. Yes, for example, when I'm assessing answer sheets, there are students, who have mixed up the numbers of the questions, or, they have put 1A at one place and 1B at some other place. So in a way, it's a struggle for me to search for the answer because I have to give complete marks for each question. And when I'm searching, turning the pages, looking for the answer, where is B part, where is C part, that is not facilitating, you're making it difficult for the reader. So present information in such a way that it is, easy for a person to understand it. So if you put the answers systematically, 1A, B, C in a sequence, it will be easy for the teacher to find the answers and quickly the work will be done. But if there is a struggle, I'm turning the pages here and there, and then, ultimately assigning marks, I have spent extra time in searching for the answers. So it becomes frustrating, and sometimes, we also miss important information this way. So make sure that you have the reader in mind, whatever you are writing. Even if you are sending a brief message through WhatsApp to the teacher, or you are sending an email to the teacher, or you are writing some kind of professional, maybe a report or some kind of letter or something, make sure that, there is nothing which is missing, or there is nothing which is chaotic or haphazard. Okay. So all these things have to be kept in mind when you're writing for professional purposes. So what is the challenge? So very often, the professional writing has a dull and monotonous style, making documents difficult and tedious to read. Yeah, so when we are turning the pages of a report, oh my God, becomes so boring, lots and lots of data, okay, and lots of information. but you can make it lively and interesting. Okay, how could you do that? First of all, try to express the complex ideas simply. Try to use appropriate words. Okay, try to bring in some variety in the writing. Don't use the same kind of style, same kinds of words again and again. Try to look for synonyms. Try to express yourself in a little creative manner. Okay. For example, in the beginning of the report, there is a page of acknowledgements where you acknowledge the people who have helped you in your work. So often and again, we find, students writing the acknowledgements like this. I would like to thank this person. I would like to thank this person. I would like to thank this person. So 5 times the same phrase is being repeated. So it is professional communication, but you can be a little creative in writing. You can change the expression. You can change the way you are writing your expression of gratitude. Okay. So try to, be creative, a little creative even in your professional communication, and also make sure that if it is too complex, try to present the ideas in a simple manner, or explain the ideas which are very complex. You explain them in a simpler manner, explain them using other words, so that again, the communication process is complete. Okay, it's not that the reader just puts the document halfway down and says that, oh my God, I don't understand it. Okay, so as writers, we have to be very careful. Okay, so what are the characteristics of effective professional writing? It should be clear, should be easily understood by the intended audience, and has no ambiguity. What is ambiguity? What does it mean? What is to be ambiguous?
Confusion.
Yeah, confusing. Shouldn't be confusing in the sense that it should not have multiple meanings, or vagueness of expression. So I'm not very sure about what you want to say. So there should be nothing which should cause confusion in the reader's mind. Okay, so making sure that if there are 2 or 3 things, you specify what you want exactly, so that again the person doesn't have to contact you again to understand, to find out what you want to say. Okay, so clear, accurate. Because if you're mentioning some data, if you are, conveying some specific information, you cannot afford to make mistakes. Okay, so cross-check the information. Make sure that it has the correct facts, it is unbiased, and the data can be cross-checked by anybody and it is correct. Okay, so that is our responsibility, nobody else's. If I write something wrong and send it to across, then it's my responsibility that I have made a mistake, not anybody else's. Okay, so making sure that you convey accurate information. It is correct in the sense that it follows both grammatical rules and technical conventions. Grammar is very important in language, because if you make incorrect sentences or miss out, don't follow the rules of grammar, the communication will not be proper. Okay, so you have to learn the grammar of a language, any language that you're using, Hindi, English, Marwadi, any other foreign language. Make sure that you know the rules, that you don't make mistakes in grammar. Okay, because then the communication will not be effective. And also follow the technical conventions. So whatever conventions are there in your professional world, you have to follow them. Okay, so if I have to bring out a tender, there is a particular language that has to be used, and there's a particular convention. I have to follow that. Okay, if I have to I have to put up a notice on the notice board, there is a particular convention for that. How to put up, what to mention in that notice. Okay, if I am circulating a questionnaire, maybe I want to find out the preferences of the employees regarding, some change of timings. I have to make sure that the questionnaire is properly drafted. Okay, so conventions, whatever are there, have to be followed. It is comprehensive in the sense that all necessary information is there. Nothing important has been missed out. Okay, because otherwise there will be again a set of emails, to find out whatever has been missed. Okay, so cross-check whatever you are sending across to make sure that all important and necessary information has been put down in that piece of writing. Make sure that it is concise, it is clear and complete without excess description or redundant expression. So, we can't afford to, write in a very relaxed kind of manner, long sentences and repetition and redundant adjectives and all that. We can't afford to do that in professional writing. We have to be clear and concise in whatever we want to say. So try to use the required number of words only to convey what you want to say. Don't make your sentences very long or unnecessarily, trying to add in more details, okay, which are just extra. You can just do away with them. Okay, so being concise. It is accessible means it includes headings and subheadings, indexes, table of contents. So why is this word there? Accessible? Of course, the material is accessible. I'm searching for some information. I go to a website, I scroll it up and down, and it's accessible to me. But suppose I want to find out a specific information, and it's a long 35 pages chapter, and I have to search that information, and I don't know how to go. I don't have the time to read those 35 pages. So if you have headings and subheadings, if there is an index, if there is a table of contents, it will be easy for me to find that information. Okay. So all these facilitate the reader, to find certain information, to tell them, indicate what the whole thing is about, and also, so that they can ensure that the material is relevant to them. Okay. So in this way, whatever you are conveying, if it is a long piece of writing, please include headings and subheadings. And if possible, you can include a table of contents so that the reader knows whether the document is relevant to him or her, and whatever information is required can be easily searched. Okay. So if you have any questions or any comments, please speak up. Anything that you don't understand or any point that has come to your mind about professional writing. Is there anything that is new to you that you think you had not thought of it earlier? Okay, and it's an important point. In whatever we have talked about just now, is there any aspect of communication that you think you had not paid attention to earlier and is really important?
Ma'am, by the term technical conventions, do you mean the proper formatting of the document?
Yeah. Proper formatting, not only formatting, but the format of a document. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So convention, is a kind of tradition that is being followed. So how are memos written? There is a particular tradition of following, tradition that is followed. This is how it has to be written. Okay. So it's a convention, and you'd make sure that you follow the convention. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So I hope you're all paying attention, because of course the PPTs will be there for you to read, but if you don't listen to the teacher, sometimes, the PPT becomes confusing, or you don't know how to elaborate on a particular point. Okay. Or what in real life, how can you explain a particular term that is being used? Okay. So I know online classes are not very effective because we may not necessarily listen to what is being said, but I'm just requesting you that please pay attention. It is going to be useful for you, and you can also, when you write your answers, you will be able to explain your points well. Okay. So moving on. So 5 essential elements to consider when writing for professional purposes. What are those 5 things which I said in the very beginning? The focus and purpose, audience analysis, organization of ideas, document design, and development. Okay. All these aspects are important, and just making sure that you follow all of them when you are writing for a professional purpose. So make sure that you know what is the purpose of your document. Okay. Suppose you're drafting a report. Why is the report being drafted? What do you have to convey in the report? What is the purpose? Okay. Who is it going to be submitted to? What is going to happen after the submission? What is the use of that report? You should have a clear understanding of that purpose. It will help you to write better. If you know the purpose, you will try to relate to the purpose. Okay. So make sure that you know what the document is required for. So what is your purpose in writing the document? What purpose should the document serve for your reader? Okay. How is it going to be useful for the reader? Is your main point stated early in the document? So whatever the purpose is, try to indicate in the very beginning. Okay. That is why the subject line is very important, because it indicates what the whole document is about. What do you want your reader to do when he or she finishes reading the document? Okay. So suppose I'm talking about, I'm discussing through an email, I'm discussing the need to buy new computers for the office. So I'm sending an email to all employees, and I tell them about the dimensions, the number of computers, and, all the things. But I forget, mentioning, I describe the computers, I describe the number, all other details I mention. But suppose I want them to, give their agreement, give their approval. If I don't write at the end that submitted for your kind approval, they will not understand what I want. I might have shared a lot of information, but then what should they do with that information? Okay, so make sure that you indicate what you want your reader to do after the document has been read. Okay, because sometimes if you miss that, then it leaves the reader confused. Okay, so focus and purpose. Make sure you know what is the purpose of your document and try to keep that purpose in mind and try to indicate it through the document itself. Okay. So you may present your information systematically so that the readers may extract the main points. So you have the headings, you have the bulleted list. Okay. So they know, even if they don't read the entire document, they know what is the main idea, that what are the main points that you are conveying. Easily find information that interests them and quickly absorb crucial information. So they know overall what the whole document is about. They're able to find the relevant information and also maybe find it and also use that information. Okay. The second thing is audience analysis. So you have to keep your audience in mind when you're communicating for some professional purpose. So suppose you have been asked to deliver a lecture, okay, maybe to some particular people, some particular professionals, okay. So before the lecture, you have to make sure that you know about the audience. So try to research about the audience and if they belong to the same organization or to some other organization. So what kind of level they have, what kind of understanding they have, okay, and what kind of expectation they have from you, okay. So make sure that you have done enough research. Is your document tailored to the needs of a specific audience? Okay, so you have to design your document according to the needs of the audience. As I was telling you, you have to be you-centered in your communication, not me-centered, but you-centered. Okay, so even when I'm explaining now, I'm trying to, even though it's an online class, I'm trying to make sure that I'm able to explain myself, keeping the students in mind. Yes, according to what I think might be your understanding. Okay, so your document has to be tailored to the needs of the specific audience. Okay, so suppose you have gone for placements and you have to make a presentation. So you have to make sure that there would be employees from that organization. You have to in a way impress them and indicate that you are capable. So you have to tailor that presentation according to your audience. It's very important because you have to make the best presentation that you can for them. Okay, so it can't be a general kind of, I just pick it up from the internet and present it there. It cannot be like that. You have to design your document according to the audience. Okay, are your tone and language appropriate for your audience? So again, how you manage your tone and your language, that's very important. I can't be arrogant, I can't be commanding to a superior, to somebody who's senior to me. Okay, I have to be a little courteous, I have to use the appropriate language. Okay, so you have to be very sure that you use the right tone and the right kind of language, and make sure that you use language to convince your reader. Okay, language is a very important tool. Yeah, it is through language that the work in this world is being done. So you have to persuade your reader with your whatever you are conveying. Okay, so try to use appropriate language, so that you're able to convince your reader. Okay, if I'm making an argument and I don't have the right data, to convince you, I'm just talking about, I'm making a claim about something, but I don't have the right kind of valid, arguments, then I won't be able to convince you. Now, does any of you read that editorial page in a newspaper? The whole page which has, the editor's points of view and, people writing, about current topics, current issues being discussed. Do you read that page or any section of that page? It's not nowadays, earlier it used to be in the middle of the page, newspaper, but nowadays it's towards the end of the newspaper. So maybe just third last page or something like that, fifth last page. It's on the left-hand side. So I think you must be reading it, those who are fond of reading newspapers or those who are preparing for competitive exams. Tell me. No, I don't know whether you've read them or not, but the editorial page usually, tries to talk about a current debate. I mean, there are articles in it which talk about current issues, and they try to, take up one aspect of that issue and try to convince the reader. okay, about the same point of view. So how do they do it? So they're using language in a very effective manner, using arguments, using data, using facts, talking about the past, talking about whatever has recently happened. Okay, so they are using language, so that they're able to shape the thoughts of the reader. Okay, and if those arguments are valid, we will be very easily convinced. Okay, so that is how language works. So make sure that you're able to persuade the reader by the end of your documents. Okay, so suppose you are assigning an extra responsibility to a person in your organization. Okay, there's more work, and you feel that it cannot be done if more work without assigning more work. If you send the mail, you have to persuade the reader that it's very important that they do that part of work. Yeah, if you're not able to persuade them, they will be dissatisfied and you won't be able to get the work done. Okay, so talking about the importance, talking them why it is important, and talking about how their work is going to be very helpful. So this is the way in which you persuade the reader. So using language in such a manner. Okay, moving on. The organization of ideas. Effective organization is crucial to the success of a business message. Okay, so how you organize your ideas is very important. User-centered, logical presentation of your ideas makes your document professional. So how do you arrange your points? Okay, that's very important. Starting with the most important point and then moving on to the less important points. Does your document begin by explaining your point and forecasting the communication's main ideas? So in the very beginning of the presentation, I talked about what this presentation is going to be about. Why? So that you get an idea of what am I going to do in the next 1 hour. Okay, so I don't just haphazardly talk about several things and the reader doesn't have a clue about what am I trying to do. Okay, so your document should begin by explaining your point and also forecasting the communication's main ideas, also in a way indicating what is going to be done in the whole of that communication. So that is why we have the list of contents at the beginning of a book. Yeah, we have the list of contents at the beginning of a journal, list of articles. Why? So that the readers know what the whole document is about. It might be a thick book, but if there is no list of chapters, I will be just turning the pages again and again and getting confused about what is there in that book. Okay, so similarly for any other kind of document, try to indicate what are you trying to do through that document. Yeah, that has to be done in the very beginning. Is information arranged in order of importance to your audience? Okay, so whatever is important to the audience, have you arranged the information in that way? Okay, not that you talk about general things in the beginning, unimportant stuff, and then you move on to the most important part. So most probably the reader will not read it because they will read the initial part, they will think it's not relevant, and then they will not read to the end of the document. Okay, so the most important things have to come in the very beginning. Is similar information kept together? So don't, put the ideas randomly, same things being repeated here or there. No, whatever is similar has to come together. Okay. Is each section organized around only one main idea? So that is what I was talking about, bullet points, and I was talking about paragraphs. So a paragraph can be considered a section. Okay. So each paragraph should focus on only one main idea. Don't put in too many things all together in one paragraph or in one big block of writing. Okay. So have sections, and each section should focus only on one idea. Even keep this point in mind when you're drafting the paragraphs. Okay, so that when I scroll through a document, when I see the beginning of the paragraph, I know what this paragraph is about, and I can quickly get an overview of what the whole document is through just scrolling and just looking at each paragraph. Okay, so arrange ideas in a systematic manner, sequencing them from the most important to the less important. Do key sentences begin each paragraph? So try to put in the key sentence, the topic sentence in the beginning of the paragraph. Okay, what subtopic are you talking about in that paragraph? Okay, so try to put it in the very beginning. So this is applicable even to your answers in the exam. So when you are writing long answers, especially for exams of any language, make sure that you have paragraphs and you start each paragraph with the key sentence, with the topic sentence of that paragraph. Okay. Then what is the tip is to keep it short and simple. It's not I haven't devised. You will find this everywhere in any book of technical communication that you look for. So keeping it short and simple. Okay, whatever you want to communicate, keep it short and simple. So what happens when we have long lectures, suppose there's a long lecture, I will be able to pay attention in the very beginning. But then if the lecture goes on and on, after some time, I will lose focus. Okay, because too many things being discussed, there is no variety. The speaker is just speaking, going on and on. So there, after some time, our attention starts wandering. Okay, so keep it short and simple to make sure that the reader is able to understand what you are saying. Avoid long sentences that present several confusing facts. Okay, don't make very long sentences because they are going to be complex and also difficult to understand. So just look at this long sentence that requires editing. You can see it starts from if and ends with 5%. It's one sentence. And just try to understand what it is saying. Very confusing because there is repetition of phrases and too many situations are there, conditions are there, not easy to understand. So you omit needless. Oh my God, I have not put the answer. I will try to simplify it and show it to you next time. Okay, what would be an edited sentence? Okay, without this kind of repetition of language and all that. Okay, omit needless words and information. For example, look at this short paragraph. In Las Vegas, if someone is caught cheating during a game, the charge for a first offense is a prison sentence of 1 to 6 years and a $10,000 fine. This one act during a game results in life-altering punishment. Okay, so this is a paragraph. You can edit it a little, make it a little shorter and concise. The charge for cheating in Las Vegas is a sentence of 1 to 6 years and a $10,000 fine. This one act within a game can alter your life because then the person will be imprisoned or some kind of penalty will be, that penalty will be imposed on them. Okay. So this one act of cheating within a game can alter your life. Okay. So you can see that mostly the same idea is being conveyed. Lesser words, it's more effective because the reader can quickly, understand what the message is through the second example, the edited one. Okay. So I think I will stop here and I have to take your attendance, which is a major task. It's going to take time also. 2 seconds. So I will continue in the next class. I'm in this topic and I'll quickly take your attendance. 2 seconds. This is computer science, no?
Yes.
Okay. So please speak up when I call out your name. Shivam Singh.
Yes, ma'am.
Rituraj. I will be cross-checking with the downloaded list also. So please don't make proxy answers. We have been teaching online for a long time now.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, Rituraj is present. Ashish Soni. Ashish is there. Yogit.
Yes, ma'am.
Abhik.
Present, ma'am.
Sarthak.
Already present, ma'am.
Okay, Romit.
Present, ma'am.
Gautam.
Dead ma'am.
Aditya. Atharv.
Present, ma'am.
Pratham.
Harsh present.
Who's present? Wait. Harsh, I didn't call your name. Okay.
No, ma'am.
No, so I've just started the list. Atharv is there, Pratham is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Jayesh.
Ma'am,
Jayesh.
just above Athar.
Just above
My roll
Atharv,
number-
Aditya Solanki.
No, ma'am, just below Aditya.
In my
In
list, it's
between.
not there.
Roll number
Prerna,
11.
Dr. Prerna Vanjani. Pratham is there. Pratham is 11. Roll number 11 is not mentioned in my list. I'll check. Okay, I'll check what is.
Ma'am, Pratham is 13. 1013 is Pratham Chaudhary.
In my list, it is Pratham is 13. 1013 is okay, but 1011 is not there in my list. So I will cross check and find out from the faculty. Okay.
Okay,
The
ma'am.
list which has been shared, I'm just speaking that out. Okay. Granth, not there. Rujul, Dudhat, Rujul. Vanshaj, Manish.
Yes, ma'am.
Manish is
Manish.
there. Okay. Shivansh, Lakshita.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Sankalp,
Yes, ma'am.
Vanshaj Gupta. Is it repeated? Vanshaj, I just call Vanshaj Bhatnagar and Vanshaj Gupta. Okay. Sankalp is there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Okay. Shivang, Dipanshu.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Harshil.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tushar.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Keshav.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Vishwajit.
Present, ma'am.
Shashwat.
Present, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Kalpit.
excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, 1031 after Vishwajit Bhave.
1031 is not there. Is there some kind of list of people who have registered later or something? Because there is an appendix here. I might find the names later. Tanishq, who's that? Tanishq? What's your name?
Ma'am, 1033 are present.
026 also.
I'm 102 also, ma'am.
Ma'am,
I called out those names, boys. Where were you?
I'll share you the student list containing of all the students.
Acha. For today, let me take the attendance. Okay.